With winter well upon us, I decided to just do a quick overview of how we deal with the winter in the RV. Of course, the main thing that we have to deal with is the water coming in because it comes in from the outside, so we have to make sure it doesn't freeze. So I'll show you how we do that. And I'll also just show you how we heat the place, which is a mixture of propane and electric. Well, winter's here. It's been pretty cold out. And Peter, you're the one that built our doghouse to winterize our RV so that our water didn't freeze. So can you show people?
So when we first got here, we had the guys bring the water from the road all the way underground, about 700 feet to this point right here. And what they did was they put in this hydrant for us. So for a while, we just had that hydrant and we connected our hoses off of this hydrant, and that hose feeds into our RV. And this was all out in the open, but of course winter was coming. So I put down a gravel base and I took a lot of the extra scraps from 2x4s and zip sheathing from the house build and built a little protective enclosure. So that way, like, this is probably the nicest insulated doghouse with like expensive zip sheathing you'll ever see. But what's nice is that this doesn't freeze, or shouldn't freeze. And just as a precaution, I have a electrical cord coming in here, and there is this little plug. What is it called? I think it's a thermostatic plug where it detects what the temperature is, and if the temperature drops to 32 degrees or lower, that plug turns on. And so it turns on that space heater, and the space heater will kick in and heat up the space.
Wait, so you need some sort of sensor, or that is the sensor?
The sensor is built into that plug. So this white piece right here, it has this white piece just plugs into the wall, or in this case an extension cord, and then it has two things I can plug into it. And there is a sensor in here that detects when it's freezing temperatures. This now turns on this cord, which turns on that space heater.
So if it drops below 32, or probably different.
Yeah, 32, it'll turn on, and then once the space is heated up enough, then this thing turns right back off, and we're not wasting electricity. We're getting on-demand heat when we need it and not when we don't.
And the hose itself is a heated hose?
Yeah, the hose is a heated hose, and it is on that end of the hose that you can see the wire coming off of. This wire is plugged into an outlet inside the outdoor kitchen RV. So this hose stays around, I think, between like 40 and 50 degrees whenever it's plugged in. And then of course I added foam pipe insulation around the hose as well to give it a little bit extra protection, because I don't want to have to wake up in the morning with a surprise.
And then you also put another sensor in. You were just a temperature sensor, right? So that we can monitor the overall temperature of the...
Yeah, this is a temperature sensor, humidity sensor, and atmospheric pressure. And I've had this for a while, and I have not had to change the battery ever. I've had this for over a year and a half, I think. So this is pretty cool. And I have a whole bunch of these stuck all over the place. So in the event that something happens, the power goes out and we didn't realize, or this fails and this is not holding in enough heat, I'll get an alert if the temperature is too low, and then that'll trigger us to do something about it. Probably just turn on the water and let it trickle on the inside. Dog has to protect this, and then the heater is a fail-safe, and then there's a temperature sensor as a fail-safe to that in case all of that just fails. So a lot of redundancy, but I don't have to deal with frozen water in winter.
We also have propane heat, and we have a couple of extra propane tanks there. We have propane for the outdoor shower heater, for the grill, and then to heat the RV as well. But we also, in addition to the propane, have a couple of electric heaters in there. But we do like to run the propane, and this is where it hooks up. They're inside here for cooking and for heat. And the heat will turn on with the thermostat, but we also just use electric. The electric gets piped right in, whereas propane we have to go buy and fill up, but we have that as kind of like an emergency backup. So if it gets below a certain temperature in there, it will kick on. The other nice thing is that we actually have the extreme weather package. We didn't plan it that way. We just bought one that happened to have that on it. And one of those insulation upgrades is down here underneath. There's more insulation on the bottom. So I know a lot of people will put a skirt around their entire RV for the winter time to keep more of that heat in, or to keep the cold from getting under there. But we do have extra insulation under there, so that's nice. So what are you doing right now?
I'm putting a temperature sensor all the way back in here.
To make sure it doesn't get too cold underneath the shower.
Because if it does get too cold, then we gotta turn on the shower and let it drip. Propane furnace is, I think it's right here. It's down in here. And then it ducts it to, there's one spot right here where it comes out. It ducts it over there by the bed. And I think there's one more spot that it ducts heat out. Those ducts that go underneath the RV, that's going to heat up the surface, that like interstitial layer that is covered underneath. There's not anywhere over here where heat gets ducted anywhere near under the shower pipes. Because of that, we can't count on using the propane heat to help make sure that spot gets protected.
Oh.
So I'm putting a temperature sensor back in there because I know that it gets really cold.
Yeah. And this little heater that we have is more for us, I think.
Yeah.
Just so that, because the bathroom's the worst place you want to be cold, and this bathroom tends to be a little colder because it's kind of shut off.
Yeah, because I don't think heat makes it all the way back in here from the propane.
Yeah.
The big reason why it gets really cold under the shower is because both our hot and cold water lines, the lowest point where you can open and release all the water out of it, that goes, like it exits outside of the RV, is under the shower. There is this hole that obviously they had to make space for this P-trap for the shower, but this is sheathing. On top of the sheathing is a layer of foam. They have all this cut out, so there's no insulation right here in this space. So there's direct access for the cold temperature underneath the RV to come up into this space, and that's why I'm putting a temperature sensor down here. It's on black hot, so anything that is black on this thermal imaging camera is hot, and I do that so I can easily see where the cold spots are. The cold spots are shown up in white, and it's telling me that it's not too bad. It's like 55 degrees in there. So it looks like you can kind of see the metal rafters that are inside the ceiling that are transferring that cold from outside.
Yeah,
Those
so this is
across.
exactly what we're trying to avoid in building the house, to be with the proper insulation and with the proper barriers, with the zip board, with the foam in between. This is just bringing the cold air right from the outside and pressing against the inside. It's
Thermal bridging. So this is like, there's a probably a metal rafter right here. There's one that goes across right here, same right here. You can point it at the windows. You can see the windows are terrible. They're single pane windows. So the windows are very cold.
So losing a lot of heat there.
Yeah, that window says it's like 53 degrees on the coldest point on that window.
Yeah, and it's like 37 outside or something right now, probably.
Right. You can see behind the beds where our heads go, on either side of the bed, it's really cold.
Wow, I've noticed that too. I've noticed a draft around there.
That's about it. Hopefully we survive the winter in the RV, and hopefully by next winter we'll be inside our nice passive solar house, not even having to worry about the heat because it'll be such a tight envelope holding that all in. If you want to see more about how we're building our house and what passive solar even means, I'll throw some of the links in the description for those videos as well. Also, all the products we showed in this video, all the sensors and the hose and everything like that, links will be in the description. So if you need them for your own RV or for your own winterizing solutions for anything, you can check those out there. Throw me any comments with any questions you have. Thanks for watching.